Hello YouTube, it is your boy B3 back with another kicking movie reaction review. Today's movie is one that I've had a copy of for years and just never watched. Like, I have this stack of movies that I've just never watched by my TV stand, most of which are horror. And I'm going through them. Lots of the fast few films we've done have been films like that. Slender, the Mimic sequels, etc. And today's film that I forgot I had is Boogeyman from 2005. Yes, Boogeyman from 2005. It is a horror thriller film, an hour and a half long, PG-13. The only place you can really watch it digitally, to my knowledge, is Prime Video. It's included with your subscription, I believe. That being said, I have it on DVD, so no guarantees. It has a 4.2 out of 10 on IMDb, a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 32% on Metacritic. But 74% of Google users like the movie. Here's a quick read-up. As a young boy, Tim, played by Aaron Murphy, witnesses the horrifying event of his father, played by Charles Messier, being dragged away by the Boogeyman, despite the reassurances of his mother, aka Lucy Lawless, that'd be the actress, that the Boogeyman is not real. He is never the same afterward. Years later, Tim, now played by Barry Watson, the older adult Tim, manages to create a normal life for himself, though he lives without closets and keeps his mattress on the floor. But when he learns of his mother's death, Tim must return home to face his childhood trauma. It was released February 4th, 2005 in the US of A, directed by Stephen K. It does have 2 sequels. Screenplay by Eric Kripe, Juliet Snowden, and Styles White. Produced by Sam Raimi, Robert Tappert, and a name that I don't know how to pronounce because because it doesn't use letters that I recognize. Oops. But yeah, even though Boogeyman has some low scores on these other websites that I looked at, I thought it was a pretty good film. I mean, there's got to be a reason it has 2 sequels, right? I thought it was a good movie. I really did. It's very surreal in some parts. There's lots of things that happen because the Boogeyman is torturing him and trying to get him. And then there are also things that he sees that aren't the Boogeyman, that I think might just be due to his psychosis. And we're going to be getting into spoiler territory from this point on. So, if you don't want to hear any spoilers, my main thing is that it's a really cool movie. I liked it a lot. But now we're moving into spoilers. So there's this girl who's also looking for the Boogeyman. There's a little girl. And there was a twist that she was a ghost. She was taken by the Boogeyman before. And her father went insane trying to get her back from the Boogeyman. I predicted she was a ghost. There was almost no foreshadowing for that twist. But it did happen. I just guessed that because I just did. Like, there was nothing in the film that really told me she was a ghost. I just guessed it. I also guessed the method for defeating the Boogeyman, which was you just have to basically not fear him anymore. And apparently the Boogeyman is a manifestation of several different things that was in the main character's room that scared him as a child. He had this really scary looking action figure. He was scared of this, like, little crow that would flap that hung from his roof. He was scared of his Tesla orb thing. And he was scared of this jacket that hung over a chair. And once he destroyed those things and stopped fearing the Boogeyman went away. There were also some kind of predictable horror things, like he had a girlfriend at the beginning of the film, right? And then we meet his childhood friend, who is a woman, and it's like, as soon as you see the grown woman childhood friend, you're like, okay, the girlfriend's gonna die, and then the childhood friend is, the girlfriend's gonna die, and the childhood friend is gonna be his new bae. She doesn't, like, become his bae in the film, but she's the only person that sees the Boogeyman and survives other than him. So that's Nice. So they probably do bond over that quite a bit. It kills his uncle. It kills his girlfriend. At first, we don't get to see how it killed them. And I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. But then, it's like revealed that the Boogeyman doesn't abide by the same laws of space-time. So, like, he can travel from one closet to another, or one closet to under someone's bed in, like, the blink of an eye. Like, they're portals to him. And also, when he travels, he can travel forward or back in time a little bit. Because after the people are killed, the main character's following him through closet portals and stuff, and it's taking him to the past when they're being killed so he can witness it. And also leave DNA evidence behind, so that he gets blamed for the disappearances. That's something in horror films. A lot of these horror films with a monster or something, the monster is defeated, but in a way that its existence cannot be proved. But by then, there's usually a body count. I talked extensively on this in my Hellraiser review. And at the end of these movies, I always assume that the main character ends up going to prison or ending up in a psych ward. Because he left a bloody handprint in the hotel room, and he didn't call the cops to say that she was missing or anything. His girlfriend, when she was killed. He left a bloody handprint in the hotel room. And also, his uncle was wrapped up in like this wrap that was suffocating him and stuff, and he tried to cut him out of it, and when he's trying to cut his uncle out, he made him bleed, and that blood got on an X-Acto knife, and that's too big, an X-Acto knife with his fingerprints on it and his uncle's blood. And when that happened, I was like, no way in hell this movie doesn't end with him being arrested for their murders. Like, no way in hell, because he's leaving all this evidence, like a bloody handprint of his own blood in a hotel that he was there to check into with someone and then disappeared from the hotel while she disappears. Like, her family's definitely going to blame him for her disappearance. And then, once again, an X-Acto knife with his uncle's blood on it and his fingerprints. And I was like, no way he doesn't go to prison. But the film ends on, like, a happy note with him defeating the Boogeyman. And then he opens up the blinds and the sunlight comes in. And then there's, like, this upbeat song that's the first song to play in the credits. And it, like, tries to pass it off as, like, a happy ending, even though 2 people are dead and missing, and he's definitely going to prison. But I watched through the credits. I normally watch movies through the credits anyways. Just because I do. I was doing that before after credit scenes became a big thing. After credit scenes existed before Marvel, by the way. They just weren't big. Because this movie was before Marvel. And I was just sitting there and I was like, I bet this movie has an after credit scene. I could feel it. And it did. It shows the Boogeyman POV of him peeking through a closet door at a new child victim. Because I believe the next 2 films, and I think the next 2 films are both starring women. I don't know, haven't seen them, but I'm definitely going to watch them now. But one more thing I want to say about this movie, well, a couple more things actually. Acting was fine, pretty good acting. I enjoyed it. But the CGI is terrible. The Boogeyman is entirely CG for the entire film. There were a couple times where he did not need to be CG. Like when he turns into water and like drowns the girlfriend and makes her disappear. Obviously that's going to be CG. When he's surrounded by like crows flying in a tornado around him. Yeah, of course, CG. It has to be. But there's one scene where he's like standing at the bottom of the stairs and looking up at someone. And he's full CGI. Why? Right? There's one scene where you see just his hand reach out and grab the main character and then he disappears. Why wasn't that practical? There's no excuse for that not to be practical. This movie was... The monster was a little too CGI. And the CGI is awful, but that's because it's CGI from 2005, right? Like... Yeah, I've seen straight-to-DVD movies with better CGI than this in the modern day, but it's still like... It's just 2005 CGI. So when you're watching it, don't be turned off by the CGI because it's not modern CGI. This CGI is 15 years old, okay, people? Don't hate on the film because the CGI is dated. Alright? This was pretty normal CGI when this film came out. In 2005. But yeah, that is it for Boogeyman. Now, I am actually looking at the posters for 2 and 3 right now, and it looks like they are starring women. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to watch those soon. It depends on where they are. I bet you anything you have to pay for them on Prime Video. That Prime Video has a lot of the one movie in the series free, and then the rest you got to pay for. And I do believe that this one is free. The one we're currently talking about, the first one. I do believe that it is actually free. But yeah, I will be watching the sequels. I should have got them for a couple bucks when they were at Movie Stop, back when Movie Stop was a thing. I really enjoyed Boogeyman, aka The Boogeyman. It's seen with a the and without a the. And I just looked it up. You can watch this movie for free on Amazon Prime if you have a regular subscription to Prime Video, which I do. So you can watch it for no additional cost. And then Boogeyman 2 and 3 you have to pay for. 100% you gotta pay for them. Figures, right? So, yeah, that's it. And make sure it's the 2005 Boogeyman. Right? Make sure it's the 2005 Boogeyman. So that's it. Thank you all once again for your support. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. I will review the sequels eventually. I'm trying not to spend money on movies right now. Even though I did rent Nightmare on Elm Street recently, but that's because my partner really wanted to see it, and so did I, I'll admit. But, that's it. Thank you all once again for your support, and I'll see you all, yeah, next time.